Are you still copying code from ChatGPT and pasting it into your files one by one? What if there was an AI that reads your entire code base, edits your files directly, runs your tests, and commits the changes for you? Today we're diving deep into Claude Code, the agentic coding tool that doesn't just suggest code, but actually builds complete business systems from the ground up. I'll show you exactly why it's fundamentally different from ChatGPT, Gemini, or any other AI chatbot. Here's the experience most developers know too well. You open ChatGPT, paste in some code, ask it to fix a bug. It gives you an answer. But then you figure out which file it goes in, manually copy it, paste it, hope it doesn't break anything, and run the test yourself. If something breaks, you go back and paste more code. This back and forth loop is the fundamental limitation of every chat-based AI tool. They generate text. They don't actually do work. Here's the core distinction. A chatbot takes input, generates text, and waits for you to do the work. An autonomous agent creates a multi-step plan, executes each step, observes results, adjusts strategy, and delivers the outcome without human intervention between steps. According to Anthropic's documentation, Claude Code autonomously collects context, executes actions, and verifies results in a continuous loop until the task is complete. That's not a better chatbot. That's a different category of tool entirely. So what exactly is Claude Code? It's an agentic coding tool that lives directly in your terminal. Not a browser tab, not an IDE plugin, but your actual command line. It reads and writes files, executes shell commands, searches the web, and manages its own context of up to 200,000 tokens. It has direct access to every tool a programmer uses daily. File navigation, editing, linting, running scripts, and debugging. Claude Code works the same way a human developer works, just faster and without the context switching fatigue. Here's the agentic loop that powers everything. When you give Claude Code a task, a built-in Explorer sub-agent scans your codebase in an isolated context window, finding relevant files without consuming the main agent's context budget. Then the main agent creates a plan, executes changes across multiple files, runs your tests, and if anything fails, it diagnoses and fixes the issue automatically. This loop continues until the task is completely done. Each step feeds into the next with no human bottleneck in between. Here's what it looks like in practice. You type Claude and describe your task in plain English. Claude Code automatically finds the relevant files across your project. It shows its plan, then makes changes, updating middleware, modifying routes, creating utility functions, and adjusting tests. When done, it runs the full test suite and only reports success when everything passes. If a test fails, it loops back and fixes the issue automatically. Your role shifts from writing code to reviewing it. Isn't it dangerous to let an AI modify your code? Claude Code has 5 permission modes for granular control. Normal mode asks confirmation on risky actions. Auto accept lets edits happen without interruption for maximum speed. Plan mode is read-only, analyzing without modifying anything. Don't ask runs pre-approved tools only and silently rejects everything else. And bypass disables all checks for sandbox containers only. You can also configure custom allow and deny rules that are version controlled in your Git repository, so the whole team shares the same safety configuration. The Model Context Protocol, or MCP, transforms Claude Code from a coding tool into a full business platform. Announced by Anthropic in November 2024, MCP is an open protocol for AI to external system integration. Think USB for AI. Pre-built servers connect to Google Drive, Slack, GitHub, Postgres, Puppeteer, and AWS services like Lambda and Fargate. OpenAI adopted MCP in March 2025 for ChatGPT Desktop. Microsoft added it to Copilot Studio. The ecosystem is growing rapidly with additional connectors for Gmail, Google Calendar, DocuSign, and many more services. Claude Code has 2 complementary memory systems. CLAUDE.md files contain your project instructions, coding conventions, and security rules. They load automatically at session start and support a hierarchy from global to project to subdirectory. Anthropic says 5 lines of code snippets beat 50 words of description. The second system is auto memory, which accumulates user preferences, project context, and past decisions across conversations over time. Together, Claude Code never starts from scratch. It remembers your rules and your working context from session to session. Hooks add automated quality gates to Claude Code's lifecycle. In your settings JSON, pre-to-use hooks fire before any action. Return a deny signal to block dangerous operations like accessing production secrets or overriding critical files. Post-tool-use hooks run after actions complete, perfect for auto-linting or formatting code every time. These are deterministic shell commands, not AI suggestions. They enforce your team's standards silently in the background every single time, without anyone needing to remember. Since the settings file lives in your repository, the entire team shares the same guardrails automatically. Claude Code supports two collaboration models. Sub-agents handle focused tasks in isolated context and report results to the parent agent, which stays in full control. Agent teams, launched February 2026 with Opus 4.6, go much further. Multiple Claude agents communicate with each other, divide work, and execute in parallel. Combined with Git work tree support, each agent works in its own directory, sharing repository history. One builds the API, another creates the frontend, a third handles testing, all following your CLAUDE.md rules. Let's look at the hard data from industry standard benchmarks. On SWE-bench, which evaluates AI on real-world GitHub issues, Claude Opus 4.5 scored 80.9%, the first model ever to break the 80% barrier. GPT 5.1 scored 76.3%. Gemini 3 Pro scored 76.2%. On the Aider polyglot benchmark testing, coding across multiple languages, Claude scored 89.4%. On SWE-bench multilingual, covering 8 languages, Claude took first place in 7 out of 8. These are independently verified results. Anthropic published internal data from over 200,000 Claude Code transcripts analyzed between February and August 2025. They surveyed 132 engineers and conducted 53 in-depth interviews. The results are striking. Code output increased by a full 200%. New feature development jumped from just 14% to 37% of total work. Task complexity grew from 3.2 to 3.8 on their internal scale. Engineers aren't just doing the same work faster, they are taking on harder problems they wouldn't have attempted before. Enterprise adoption tells an even bigger story about real-world impact. Claude Code reached $1 billion in annual recurring revenue just 6 months after launch. By February 2026, that accelerated to $2.5 billion. 8 out of 10 Fortune 10 companies are now Claude customers. Over 500 enterprises spend more than $1 million annually on Claude products. And 80% of Anthropic's total revenue comes from enterprise customers, not individual users. One large company onboarded 2,500 developers with plans for 3,500, reporting 20 to 30% faster feature development. Let me zoom in on Spotify as a concrete case study. Spotify reported up to 90% reduction in engineering time on certain workflows. Their teams generate over 650 AI-assisted code changes every single month. About half of all their software updates now flow through AI systems, and their junior developers complete complex integration tasks a full 70% faster when working with Claude Code. These are real production metrics from one of the world's largest tech companies with thousands of engineers. Here's where Claude Code's agentic nature truly shines. Multi-file changes. In a real application, changing a data model is never just one file. You need to update the database schema, modify the API endpoints, adjust front-end components, fix TypeScript type definitions, and update every related test. Chat tools handle one file at a time, and you manually coordinate everything. Claude Code handles the entire dependency graph in a single operation, propagating changes across every affected file. It understands how your code connects and keeps everything in sync automatically. Here's a genuinely fair comparison of the three major players. Claude Code excels at complex logic and architectural reasoning, described by reviewers as a senior architect who teaches you to avoid bugs. ChatGPT has the broadest training data and handles almost any programming language, making it the most versatile general-purpose option. Gemini offers the fastest response speed, plus a 1 million token context window for processing entire repositories at once. Each has real strengths, but only Claude Code operates as an autonomous agent with direct file access. So who should use Claude Code right now? If you're a solo developer building a product, Claude Code gives you a full engineering team writing your terminal. If you're a small team, the documented 200% code output increase is transformative. Enterprise engineering teams can follow Spotify's lead with 90% time savings on key workflows. And if you're a student or junior developer, here's something remarkable. On Anthropic's own internal hiring test, Claude outperformed every single human engineering candidate. Learning alongside this AI accelerates your growth dramatically. Semi-analysis, one of the most respected AI research publications, called Claude Code, quote the inflection point in software development. Looking at all the data we've covered today, I think they're absolutely right. We've crossed the line from AI that suggests code to AI that builds complete systems. From tools that generate text to agents that deliver real working outcomes. If you're still copying code from ChatGPT and pasting it into your files, you are leaving massive productivity gains on the table. Claude Code isn't a better chatbot, it's a fundamentally different way of building software. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit the subscribe button so you never miss our deep dives into AI development tools and emerging technology. We cover the tools, strategies, and workflows that are reshaping how software gets built in the age of artificial intelligence. In the next video, we'll walk you through setting up Claude Code step by step, from initial installation and configuration all the way to running your very first fully autonomous project build. You'll see exactly how to configure CLAUDE.md, set up MCP integrations, and get your first multi-file feature shipped entirely by an AI agent. See you in the next one.